Okay, welcome everybody to our school board meeting. Everything about tonight's agenda is located at the entrance to this room, or you can go on to rockridgepublicschools.org and find out what you need to find out. Okay, I would ask everybody to please rise and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, sorry for the unorthodox intro to our meeting. So, let the record reflect that Director Sorkin is not here.
And I'd just like to say I did contact the student reps and told them, being that school was canceled today, it makes sense for them to not have to attend today, which one of them was on the New York choir trip anyways and in the airport, so it worked out good for them. And yeah, so
understandable. Just so you know. Understandable. I would just like, before we get going, I'd like to put a little shout out to the girls, Rockridge girls basketball team, for a job well done. They fought hard there. And the Rockridge Junior Gold, they came in, correct me if I'm wrong, third place.
Third in state.
And the Bantams B1, they came in third place as well. And of course, the Cherry Boys brought home the serious hardware. The Cherry Boys basketball took first place in the single A tournament this past week, which I'm proud of. Okay, with that being said, we'll move on to the approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
I second.
Moved by Director Reardon, second by Director Westby. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Okay, I will ask if there's anybody signed up for visitor input, which I did not see any on my iPad, but is there anybody in the audience who would like to speak? Come forward and state your name at the podium, please.
Hello, my name is Kepra Haney, and I am an 8th grade student here at Rock Ridge. There have been studies saying that class size doesn't negatively affect our academics, but as a student who has 7 periods a day with 30+ people, I say otherwise. When me and my 30-some peers are sitting in a single classroom, it's loud, to say the least. When a student decides to cause a ruckus, the teacher is forced to stop and shut the student down, disrupting them from actually teaching. The bigger the class size, the more this happens, therefore putting everyone behind. When the teacher can barely teach because of the sheer numbers of students around them, then how are we, the students, expected to learn? Let's look at numbers. When parents and families are looking to enroll, one of the things they look at is class size. Specifically looking for lower class sizes. And as we have fewer and fewer teachers, we have increasingly larger class sizes, which then leads to lower enrollment. A few short weeks ago, we had a speech meet here at Rock Ridge. And while I was showing kids from other teams around the building, I was asked on several occasions how much tuition here was. Kids are wildly impressed with our new building, but do you really think they'd have the same enthusiasm if I told them that I had almost 40 people in my science class? So what I've come here to ask you today is to re-examine your budget to see where we can take cuts from other than our much needed teaching staff. Because without our students and teachers, we are nothing more than just a pretty building.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience who would like to speak? Mr. Caddy.
Back. Can't follow that up though.
First, I had some clarification questions. In the previous meeting, you talked about building changes. Those changes, and they can be answered later, or just questions. They come out of the bond fund. They don't come out of the general fund. It's a different fund. That's an assumption that I think the public should be clarified when you make those changes. And then enrollment, we're talking about budget issues. So enrollment is the huge key in that. Is it up or is it down from versus what the budget was originally set at? Where are we at those numbers? And then if that's not the only thing that's accounting for the deficit, what are the other things that are creating this deficit? One of the things that was cited in the previous meeting was insurance premiums. So they go up and they go down. They're lower than they were a few years ago. They went up this time, but they're still lower than they were a few years ago. So it's not just insurance premiums. What are the funds that have maybe gone away? Other schools have talked about funds that have gone away. I think the public and us it'd be in our best interest to know, like, why are we in the deficit that we're in other than enrollment issues? And then when we started all of this, our motion, why I got involved in it, and why I supported it from the beginning was providing world-class opportunities to our kids. And providing as many opportunities so that we could to our kids. And if we're going to provide a world-class education, we can't reduce those opportunities. That's going backwards from where we were before we even started working together. The budget that you guys select moving forward is going to reflect your values. Cuts to the classroom, reduces opportunities, and like our student just gracefully said, you're reducing those opportunities, you're increasing those classrooms, it's going to result in more students that are leaving our district. These cuts are one side of the equation. What's being planned to maintain and increase enrollment on the other side? In the previous meeting, I heard some really good ideas and thoughts on like how we can increase that. I think that's something that we can all get behind. It's the first time that I've heard talks on that side of the equation about improving enrollment, increasing enrollment, and maintaining what we have. Early childhood, in the last meeting, you guys made some big, significant decisions on early childhood, and if anybody's watching and anybody that's in this room, we have lots of issues, funding being one of them. The state of Minnesota needs to fully fund early childhood education. The only way that we can do that is everybody in this room and anybody that's watching urge our legislatures to finally fully fund early childhood education. That would go a long ways across the state to deal with some budget issues. World-class education, that's what we're here for. We can't cut down opportunities. And the biggest fear is these cuts are hitting directly into the classroom. One of the cuts that's stated on yours, as far as we know coming into this meeting, is going to drastically impact our world languages, down to potentially one language being offered. Okay, please relook at that. We think reducing those opportunities to our students is not why we're all here, and if we can reduce that option, that's our goal.
Thank you.
Assuming that was my timer.
Thank you.
How's your timer?
I want to back up to the approval of the agenda. I forgot to add something there on here. So it was a motion by Reardon, supported by Westby. Would you accept an addendum to the agenda? Okay, on item, we're going to add on 7.05, there is a individual who is requesting the one act play trophies from 2004 and 2005 if they are available. Okay, and we just would have to approve that. Whether she just, I don't know how many there are or what they are, but.
There was two. I think it was said two.
One act play, doesn't say if there was two, it just says that they're requesting from 2004 and 2005. Okay?
Did you want to do that from Tucker Nelson? Did you say that today, or is that, you want to put on next?
Next one.
Okay.
We'll do that for the next one.
All right.
Okay, and I think the superintendent will brief us on that. So moving along is there anybody else in the audience that would like to speak? Okay,
Do you want to re-vote on the amended agenda, or
yeah, we need to re-vote on? Okay, so,
probably better?
all right, can I get a motion to accept the amended agenda?
I make a motion.
Motion by Westby, support by Addie. All those in favor, signify, or any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Okay, we're moving along to item 4. The construction demolition update from Kraus Anderson.
Good evening. Thanks for having us here again tonight. We braved the snow and we're here.
Ladies and gentlemen of the board, my name is Chelsea Krales. I'm a project engineer with Kraus Anderson Construction.
Patrick Gallagher, the senior project manager for the project.
All right, and tonight I bring you the bid results for the Eveleth campus abatement and demolition project. Let's go through my slides tonight. Okay. All right, the bottom line up front, we are under budget. We are under budget by $1.4 million. So that is great news to start off with. Moving forward, a little bit of a project summary. So when you're looking here on the upper left, you may be familiar with the Eveleth campus, but starting off with the stadium, up in this area, all red items are noting items that will be abated and demoed as part of this project. And then green items are items that will remain. Most of the green items will be rock surfaces or other areas that are just undisturbed. So starting at the stadium, you can see the football seating, dugouts, field house will be removed. As far as our phasing for the construction of the project, we would then go down to the senior high. The senior high area here with the science wing, parking lots, going through the old gym, the pool area. The new gym and fine arts building would also be included in the demolition, as well as the Franklin Elementary and the playground surrounding that. And you'll see there's a couple more parking lots and other areas on the campus that would be demoed and abated as well. Looking here, we've got a list of items. I won't hit on them all, but to highlight some of them, as we went through the building specifically, flag poles, parking lots. There is a retaining wall. I'll go back here one slide. The retaining wall along the sidewalk, both the sidewalk and that retaining wall will be removed. Grading will happen there to ease that so that you don't have any safety issues, things like that. Site grading would be part of the project. Items that will remain. So you will have, go forward here. The stormwater structures that are in place to help to keep water channeling through those storm sewers where they need to be so that it's not hitting the city streets. Sidewalks abutting the city curbs. So city curbs and city sidewalks will remain around the perimeter of the campus. If there are large trees, as long as they're not in to where they would interfere with any of the work on site, those trees would remain as well. As I had mentioned, rock at the baseball diamonds and gravel roads around the athletic area. There's kind of a gravel running track there that would remain. And then any city items like fire hydrants, the tornado sirens, and city streetlights around the perimeter will all remain on site. So we've covered what will be demoed, what will remain. Looking at our schedule, here we are today at the school board meeting, March 25th. The dates that were released with our bid package were so that we would start abatement on April 1st. Now we know there is a stop order in place, so we will not be proceeding on April 1st unless we hear otherwise from the district's lawyers and through Dr. Schmidt. So the date here, it may not start exactly on April 1st, but the construction schedule would be abatement of hazardous materials starting April 1st through October 18th, about 29 weeks of work there. Then moving right into the demolition, starting around May 28th, and then concluding and wrapping up around December 20th with the demolition. This schedule does allow for the students and staff to continue on in the facility at Franklin through the remainder of this school year, and also allows for due bid auctions to be held for the Franklin building, the new gym and fine arts building as well. One thing to note, it is important that you are aware that the current facilities over in Eveleth are running off of a mechanical system that does not have a long lifespan on it right now. You may be aware, you may not, there are 3 boilers in that building. One of them is currently running. There are other issues with water heaters. Looking at mechanical controls have been failing, there are pipe leaks. Extensive efforts have been made to keep the costs down, but ultimately, if the project doesn't go through, there would be additional costs to maintain these buildings.
Just want to thank your facilities group because we've been working with them on a daily basis to keep things transparent to the functions that are going on in the Franklin School right now. But there's a lot that's going on over there to try to limp this through to the end of May. And we will definitely make it work and we'll get through it. Also working the scheduling so that the due bid can happen within the facilities instead of trying to make more of a hardship that we've already got. So great team effort over there and we are on schedule to make this come together.
All right. Moving forward, so here are the bids. We had 3 work scopes. Work scope 2A demolition, 2B abatement, and 3D fence package. So we've ordered the bids here, the lowest bidder on top, down through the 5th and highest bidder on the bottom. So looking at work scope 2A, your lowest bid contractor was Rachel Contracting at $2.2 million. The second lowest bidder was Landwehr Construction at $2.7 million. So we've highlighted here on the red line, we are a difference between your lowest bid and your second low bid of $519,754. We have done bid tabulations with everyone on this list and feel comfortable awarding to Rachel Contracting given your approval. Our next work scope 2B for abatement, the lowest bidder was Titan Environmental at $1,024,000. The second low bidder was Mabo Systems, and the difference between their bids is $161,800, a little bit closer there. And then again, you've got ACCT, BCI Environmental, and Abate Tech all bidding that same work scope. We went through each contractor, asked them the same qualifying questions. Titan Environmental is comfortable with their bid, and we are also comfortable awarding and recommending Titan Environmental for the abatement scope. Looking at the fence package, Color Fence Company North at $82,430, and this is for the temporary fencing. There isn't any permanent fencing that will be put up on site. This is for temporary during construction. And we did not have any other bidders on this work scope. A lot of that is accounted to, there really aren't a lot. Keller Fence is one of the only union qualified bidders in our area. So going through doing their bid tabulations, we are comfortable recommending them for the work scope for temporary fencing. In summary then, we have the bid tabulations from the 3 work scopes here. One thing to note over in the remarks, it might be a little small there to read, Keller Fence, when submitting their bid documents, they did not have addendum number 3 acknowledged on their bid form. Addendum number 3 didn't impact their cost, it didn't impact their scope of work, so we're comfortable still recommending them. Their bid form, their bid bond, it says bid form on here, but that is a typo. Their bid bond was not signed. They were able to get a bond from their surety company, which is the best part. Their company themselves did not sign it prior to bid day. Since then, they have acknowledged it, they have signed their paperwork, so we have documentation of that. These have been corrected and are in place. Looking at the rest of the totals then, adding on.
I just want to make clear, so those 2 bid irregularities you as a board can waive, and we are recommending that you do waive those if you could, because it really didn't, there's no competitive issues here with a second bidder, so there shouldn't be any kind of a complaint or an upset bidder from that standpoint. Okay.
Great, I should have pointed that out, thank you, Patrick. Looking at our general conditions, testing and inspections and contingency, we have $1,081,761, fee $89,097, bringing the total budget and total bid price to $4,543,934. So kind of doing the math here, we had originally a $6 million budget. The actual cost comes down to a savings of I can count it out for you, $1,456,066 under budget.
Yes.
Any questions on that at all?
Board members have any questions?
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
So then we would ask, do you approve the bids for the Evelyn campus abatement and demolition project?
I'd make a motion to approve.
So on 4.1, you got a motion by Director Yuhan. Support by Director Reardon. Any discussion on 4.1? None being had, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So the next part here is just amendment number 14. There have been some additional work that we need to have your approval on to move forward with. First is the park view controls, and we'll talk about those a little bit. Additional Rock Ridge High School work, much of which you've already approved in other meetings. Additional Rock Ridge mechanical phase 2 work, and then the overall budget review, and then the amendment number 14. And then we will request board approval for that after questions. So first of all, Parkview. So Parkview has old pneumatic controls in about 3/4 of the building. And then the newer section in the front of the building has got some outdated digital type controls that aren't supported anymore by replacement parts. In the original referendum, if you remember, we did controls, like we didn't bid Laurentian with controls initially because we wanted to bid Laurentian and the high school together, so we had the same controls manufacturers and building management systems, so you could see everything on one screen and handle everything the same. We did that. We also did that with North Star. So we have the Yule controls. It was awarded through a competitive process. And now the last piece, though, is Parkview. Because there was no work in Parkview under the referendum other than this, we've waited until we had all of the other costs assembled. And now we've got this portion that we can complete that so that everything will be on the same building management system for the utilities. Replacing all those pneumatic controls, and then we will accomplish all that original intent of the referendum. It's $508,969. We complete it over the summer, June to August, and we do that with the same management team that is at North Star doing that project, the site work that has to be done there this summer, as well as the gym and the ninja work. We'll take our KA personnel and have them manage both of those projects. We're not adding any additional Krauss-Anderson costs for that, for the labor of site services. High school additional work. So there are after some living in the building for a while and working through how many classrooms and having different class sizes, the administration has decided that in two rooms specifically, they'd like to split those 2 rooms in half and be able to have 2 separate classrooms for each. So 2 classrooms become 4. I don't know where that is in the administration piece, but in the physical piece, it allows you to be able to do that, turn 2 classrooms into 4. That is something we were asked to put some pricing together on. We have done that. We would be removing some ceiling on either side of where these sliders would go, and you've seen the sliding doors in Laurentian to be very similar to those doors, as well as what we're doing at North Star. Frame a bulkhead up above it, install aluminum storefront sliding doors, reinstall that ceiling, and then we have to ramp the floor up for ADA compliance to be able to get a wheelchair through that door area. So we have to pull back some flooring and then put that flooring back in after we ramp that up. The approximate cost is $52,000 for that, for splitting those 2 rooms. So that is the second item.
There was some discussion during our work session. Nicole had brought up about whether or not we could get some sort of like etching on the sliding glass doors so that there's some privacy. So when kids are sitting in the classroom and they're looking over, they're not seeing what's going on in the other part of the classroom. Is that something that we can do, and will it increase the cost?
No, that would be in that cost. And when you come for your tour of North Star, you'll see that we did that on every every glass partition that separates like that to address that issue, so.
Etching so that it.
Yeah, it's actually a film, looks like a frosted glass, so you can't see through it, but the light does penetrate it, so
Okay.
it's translucent. And that's kind of a strip that runs through, so you can see below it, you can see above it, but you can't see through that main path that would be a disruption.
Thank you.
So level 1, corner glass. So there are some maker spaces on level 1, and in the corner, probably should have had some type of diagram up here, but in the corner of these two classrooms, 1168 and 1118, there's nothing in that corner. It's just an open access into that lab space. What they're finding now, though, is we have got some pretty loud activities that go on in those two maker spaces, so that sound is transferring out into the corridor and disrupting other classrooms. So all this would do is put a door and glass in that corner to seal that off so that sound stays contained within that space. So we put pricing together on that, and it's approximately $30,000 to do that work. And then in this facility, the mechanical rework that we are doing, one of the things that came up is we don't have any good way to access the roof here safely per OSHA compliance. You can put a ladder on the outside of the building, but that doesn't really meet OSHA compliance with the tool belt and the things that you need to get up and work on your new mechanical units on the roof. And it also can create an issue where people can get up on the roof that shouldn't be up on the roof. So we've come inside in your back loading dock area, gone through and looked at what would be the best way to get a ship's ladder up, which is just a slope type of a halfway between ladder and stairwell type thing that you see on a ship. And that access with the roof hatch would then allow you to have OSHA compliant access to everything up on the roof, whether it be for maintenance or working on those mechanical units. And that cost is approximately $40,000. There's structural steel that has to be put in there. We have to cut the hole, put a roof hatch on it, and then put that ladder in there.
So there was also some discussion during the working session about, the cost of that. Like, did you go out for bids for those things? I mean, is that the lowest dollar amount we could get for that? Because it seemed to some board members that was a kind of a higher price for.
Yeah, it's really in the structural piece where those dollars are at. To answer your question, we did not go for a public bid on it. We were going to do a change with the contractors on the mechanical 2-phase work. And we did go through their pricing and we did do the due diligence on whether those were fair prices or not. We had to get some engineering done first so that we could do that, which is why this is taking a little longer to get to you. But we do feel that it's fair pricing. The cost of building the structural steel and then putting that reinforcement and then the hatch itself costs some dollars.
Thank you.
Any other questions on that? Okay.
So the amendment tonight, the amendment number 14, has got about $200,000 of FF&E. That a lot of those were approved previously, plus the items that I just covered with you. And then the $3.7 million that's been added to the Evelyn demolition project that you just approved. And then the $580,000 from Parkview, which we just covered as well. So that amendment would be a total of $212,272,348. And the breakout of that is here for Amendment 14, the total of $832,595.98. So general conditions, site services, reimbursable expenses, and then our fee of $87. Those are all included within that. And this is that breakout that we put in your packet so you can see how those costs are arrived at. So are there any questions on the amendment number 14? I know there's a lot of data there, but we did get that up in your read ahead packet. So if we have any questions, we're willing to answer.
Does anybody have any questions for Klaus Anderson? Can I get a motion to approve 4.2, which is a contract amendment 14?
So moved.
By
Support.
Director Reardon, support by Director Lotiger. Any discussion? Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion passes 5-1 with Director Westby voting no. Okay. Thanks, Pat.
You bet, we'll look forward to seeing you on the 8th of April, walk you through North Star, and elevators and everything are up and running, so we'll have a good tour of the site, and you'll see the great work that's been done over there. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for you. Item 5, can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I will make that motion.
Motion by Director
I'll
Lotiger,
support.
support by Director Culver-Dahl. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Moving on to reports. Mr. Spelt, school to work engagement and fundraising updates.
Good evening. I'm going to start the presentation tonight with very worthy recognition. I have Taylor Johnson and Adam Hadrava with us tonight. They are from the Carpenters Training Institute, and they were instrumental as the lead builders who coordinated and voluntarily built our ball field press boxes for us. What an incredible donation of service and time, and we are forever grateful. I have this plaque to present to you. It says, Rock Ridge 2023-24, Rock Ridge Public Schools would like to thank the Carpenters Training Institute for their great work on building the baseball and softball press boxes with their logo. So thank you very much.
More than happy to be a part of the project. We were really bad about counting all of the apprentices. I think it was probably over 50 individual apprentices over the course of the project that were part of it. Almost every one of them got a tour of the school from Willie or from somebody else, and to a T, they were all absolutely blown away by the new high school. You know, I had multiple apprentices, and I should be clear, these are people from Bemidji all the way over into northwestern Wisconsin. And I heard multiple times, I wish I could have gone to high school in a place like this. So they were absolutely blown away. They were more than happy to. It was a very easy sell to get them to come up and help out. So we were more than happy to help out.
Awesome. Thank you.
And just looking at a couple numbers, that probably saved us up near $50,000 for them to build those massive facilities for us. So thank you 1,000 times and forever. So, all right, going into our school to work engagement and fundraising, I've got a lot for you tonight, so hang in there. I'll do my best to keep it concise, but it is all very important stuff. We've got the Minnesota Media Arts School classes coming up, and they want to pay for our kids to go there. Partial scholarships cover $500 of the $600. So with our production class, we hope that we can get some kids interested. This info has gone out, and hopefully they can attend some of these MMAS classes. Vera Bianchini has been great to work with us, and she's always seeking our kids through the academy model, and she just loves what we have been doing, what we can do with our facilities, and really wants to work with us. So hopefully we can get some kids to go this summer, June 10 through 14, 9 to 5, lunch is included. We'll keep working on that. We just had a great event. We hosted the Dream It Be It with the Seroptimists, and they brought in a panel. Each year they bring in a panel, and Jill Oja and myself had to get into the classrooms and recruit kids, and we were able to do that, and nearly 40 girls attended in our BZIC Career Center. And we had the president from the Laurentian Chamber of Commerce. We had a certified nurse practitioner from Essentia Health. We had an RN EMT from Eveleth. We had a musician. We had an electrician and power coordinator. I mean, we had great people, U.S. Forest Service, commissioner of the IRRR, a welding instructor, and Renee Prout from JET. We had just great people that came that day and spoke to our kids. And we appreciate that partnership with the Seroptimists and everybody that was involved with that. And
the neat thing was, it was an opportunity for those seroptimists before the event started. All of you guys will probably remember this. We had a little mini lockdown before that, and it was an opportunity for me to explain that this is at times can happen in a school, and it's not a dangerous situation. It's just a medical lockdown to help someone, get from here to there or whatever. And they all went, oh, okay, I get it. So, the whole experience ended up being very well-rounded for everybody involved. So that was a great day with the seroptimists, and thanks to WDIO. If you want to go back on their website, they did a great piece on it. Renee comes up, she's wonderful to us, and she came up and did a great piece on the Dream It, Be It event. And then back on March 21st, which is just last week, we had a sales pitch day. Mr. Hammer and I were hosting a sales pitch day that he started, and I was able and lucky enough to work with him. His students were giving sales pitches, and Nicole, you were there. I think we had a fun day that day, and I'm sure that as time permits, you'll be able to share such a great experience. The kids were super, and maybe you want to a little bit. Would you be so kind to share just a little bit about it?
It was a great experience, so I really didn't know what I was getting myself into, but the kids had to present or do a sales pitch to volunteers, and I was one of them. And so then we had to rate them, so they had to, we rated them on, how well prepared they were. And some of them, really, they just blew us away. In fact, I was there with your sister, and we were like, okay, now we got to buy this. Like, I really was sold. I was like, I need this and I need that. And, but they really, a lot of them, they were all really well prepared, and they looked professional. Some of them were like suit jackets, and I just was really impressed by the whole thing. It was a great experience. So thank you. Plus, I got to eat in the cafeteria, which was pretty cool too, and pretty good. So thank you.
Thanks. Sorry to put you on the spot. Thanks for sharing. I appreciate it. Yes, it truly was a great day, and that's for Mr. Hammer's marketing strategies class. And we ended up with 6 volunteers, Nicole and my sister and Erin Hansen and Hannah and Allison Krybeck and Kristen Pikula and Bruce Niznansky. They were just really good people that came in and gave up their time and worked with our kids. And that's, again, part of the academy model that we like to talk about. And then recently, I was able to be a part of a team that was that played in the Golden Bear, now John Mayasich Golden Bear curling fun spiel back on March 16th. Thanks to the early childhood staff, Shannon and Carrie, who came and did registration. As many of you know, the Golden Bear Fund gives us a lot of money. We had a student from NHS volunteer to come in on Friday night and help get everything set up. We had Thean, Aho, and Creamer's classrooms make cool posters and placemats that were super well received by all the curlers. Everybody was really, it was a great start to support our RPS, as we are the recipients of the funds from the John Mayasich Golden Bear Foundation. Incredible things happened this day, live auctions, and one item from the live auction, a 1960 gold medal hockey team picture that Mayasich was in and signed by 14 other players. John was there that day, went for $9,100 right on the floor at the top of the at the curling club, and another signed Brock Faber jersey from the Minnesota Wild, one for $1,200. And John Mayasich himself had been spending time over this past year to support this fund, and we're very grateful to him, as is the Golden Bear Fund. But we as Rock Ridge, as the beneficiaries, he himself raised over $100,000 just this past year for that fund, for that foundation. Simply amazing. Most donors chose to remain anonymous, but John knows the Marvins, and Jake Marvin from Marvin Windows family and his fiancee Louise gave us their blessing to announce $50,000 came from them, part of John's $100,000. So thank you to the Golden Bear Foundation Committee, Ben Delich, Phil Drobnik, John Hole, Jojo Scott, Katie Troutwine, Margie Koivunen, Bobby Pazzelli, Gordy Kotajelli, John Limata, and Laura Westberg. So that was a super fun thing. They want to let everybody know that you don't need to be really good at curling, which I'm not, but still play. Throw 4 people together, throw 6 people together, anything, come try it. They have all the help to balance and everything, and it was really, really fun. We were able to throw a team together and get in there with some friends, and we really had a good time. All right, moving on. Judge Michelle Anderson reached out and talked to us about the Minnesota Supreme Court oral arguments. She said that they just had Justice Carl Procaccini visit them on the range, and he is the most recent appointment to serve as the judge on the Minnesota Supreme Court, and they occasionally travel to hear oral arguments in schools throughout the state. And he wanted to see if the court would consider coming to Rock Ridge, and do we think this is something that we'd be interested in hosting? Yes, 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 1,000 times yes. So be ready to watch out for more of that. They travel twice a year to high schools around the state of Minnesota as part of a program that seeks to teach students about the court system and build the public's trust and confidence in the judiciary. So the court will hear oral arguments on actual court cases. Following the oral arguments, the Supreme Court justices hold a question and answer session with students, share lunch with student reps, and spend the afternoon visiting classrooms. So that should be great. I appreciate Michelle, Judge Anderson, reaching out to give Rock Ridge that opportunity. She is someone that has come and spoke to our career exploration classes. So that bridge, that relationship we've made there, made that an easy reach out for her. So thank you to her. Another classroom dedication in the works, actually 2 of them. Remember, we have $10,000 opportunities for people that want to donate in honor of, in memory of somebody that it makes sense, might match the old Eveleth, Virginia, or Gilbert schools, might match Rock Ridge now, and we have quite a few of them. So we have a donor that I am working with who is interested in planning to make a $10,000 donation to honor the great teaching he received from a teacher at Eveleth High School. And we will forever dedicate a classroom at RRHS in honor of this teacher. Stay tuned for that to be completed. This will be our 10th classroom dedication. And then we have another one that just bubbled up today. Another $10,000 classroom site dedication is just finalizing the commitment and is collecting the monies from family members. So watch for that to happen. We could have 20,000 coming in here very soon. Interesting story. So thank you to everybody involved with those classroom dedications. Job shadow success, something we're always doing coming out of the School to Work engagement program. We had a student go on a job shadow for a dental assistant. The student was interested in dental assistant and another field. After her experience in the dental assistant, she liked it so much that she immediately applied to the Hibbing Community College and plans to study this career for post-high school. That easy, it worked. Right now, we'll see how the schooling and everything works, but that's exactly what we hope for with our job shadow opportunities and experiences. The Monticello superintendent is coming to town to come and see everything we've built and done. I'll be hosting the Monticello superintendent Thursday. He wants to come and see all of the great stuff we're doing. He has heard of all of this. He heard Dr. Schmidt speak at a state convention and is now going to come up and see everything we're doing. So if you see us wandering, that's what we're doing. They do a nice job of just kind of ignoring me or asking questions that are fun, but they just kind of see me seeing people, moving people around. So thank you for your patience when we are maybe interfering or interrupting. Hopefully it isn't too bad. Reality Bites experience coming to Rock Ridge High School. Kyle Hammer is leading a great charge for this real life experience for our students. He and Renee Prout from JET are working to make this. Reality Bites is a simulation. You're going to love this. You're going to love this. Reality Bites is a simulation for high school students to see what it is like to make decisions about money. Yes, we do teach it. Each student is given an adult hypothetical life, and they will be assigned a job along with the ability to make such decisions about what type of house they will live in, to how many times they will eat out during the month. The goal is to get them thinking about what it costs to be on your own. Even with a good job, you must think about what is important and what when it comes to money and financial decision making. They will then have to budget their life based on their income. They will be going around to have to apply for insurance and have to get a bank loan and go over here and get this. And all the companies are coming in and going to be at Rock Ridge High School. It's just an awesome setup. And they'll have budgeting worksheets. Businesses from the community are coming in for the simulation and have their own merchant table, such as childcare, food, dining, automobile, utilities, insurance, all the stuff like that. Kids will walk around and talk to the various merchants to create their budget for their given hypothetical adult life. So watch for that coming April 10, 11, 12, right around there. That's going to be great. We just received a $2,500 donation from the Cunningham Group, so that it goes along with when I give tours to people that I just talk about or anything like that. They want us to hand them their brochure. And for that, they gave us $2,500. So that was very nice. And it's very easy for me to do that. When I walk people around, I can say, and here's who built a lot of the interior stuff here. So that was great. The honors 8th grade English class is turning the South Presentation Plaza into a museum about human migration, immigrants, and refugees. The 8th graders have been studying those topics all year in their geography and English classes. Now they are using their researching skills to see what they have learned about visual and written communication. The class did take a trip to the Discovery Center to explore the museum and meet the museum curator. Students learned about migration to the Iron Range through both exhibits and a presentation. During a question and answer session, students learned more about how to make exhibits engaging, historical considerations, and what exactly a museum curator does. The class has invited other social studies and English classes to visit their museum, and I'm sure school-wide, as well as their families. They also extended the invite to the administration and the school board. The museum will be open to visitors Tuesday, March 26 and Wednesday, March 27 from 8:15 to 9:15 a.m. Just tell someone at the office. That's Jill Clennon. She's doing a great job with that, and I'm sure other teachers are with her. But that'll be great.
From what time?
Pardon?
From what time?
8:15 to 9:15 tomorrow morning, assuming that they're ready because they had today off. Maybe she's going to text me and say, Will, you gotta change the times. Let's see if my phone buzzes right now if she happens to be watching. I didn't see her come in. Is Jill out there? I don't think so. Okay. But so heads up if that's different because of today's. Ethics workshop on March 5th, 25 seniors who were nominated by a minimum of 2 teachers who identified them as emerging leaders were invited to the ethics workshop. And this is an annual event right now. Dr. Jason Skuri, ethics professor at the University of St. Thomas, facilitated the day as a college class. Rotarians Ashley Samarjo, Wendy Riendu, Scott Osbach, Jody Ponton, and Deb Warner, and Joe Yuhan worked with students throughout the day. Students were given information on an ethical decision-making process, which culminated with them having to go through an ethical dilemma case study. Thank you to the Rotary for funding this event, and to Jim Makowski from the Evelyn Super 8 for donating the room for Dr. Skuri. So Mr. Hammer's ethics class did that. So lots of great things happening in the school to work engagement and fundraising area. Thanks for listening. Any questions?
Sounds like
Thanks,
great
Willie.
things. You took up a lot of time, but you said you weren't so great at curling, but I just watched YouTube of you in the 1986 hockey game between Evelyn and.
Wasn't very good at that either. Is that where this is going?
You did well. You did well. I wanted to give you a thumbs up.
Thank you. Thank you.
Not to age you or anything.
That's a fun video. You have to watch the beginning of it.
I did. It was great.
All righty, up next is 6.2, our student representatives had the day off. 6.3, Rockridge Principals Report. Mark Winter, you're up.
Good evening. I'll be fairly quick since Willie actually said most of the stuff that I had on my list anyway. So a lot of those same things since I was here last. We did have a lot of different big events happening at the high school, including those that Willie mentioned. Also, the Essential Health Day was back in February. Engineering Expo was back end of February. And one thing I do want to add, just as part of that, like what happened with these expos in the fall, is our Culinary Arts 2 classes did provide treats. So they're bringing that real world experience in as well, providing some treats and helping out, preparing some of those meals and different things for those speakers and guests that are coming into that event. So very, very cool things that are happening. End of the quarter is coming real quick, will happen Wednesday. So all that's winding down. It's hard to believe, but we will be preparing for our first graduation class on May 31st. So all of those plans are in the works, and we're working through it, but it's going really fast. So we're entering our last quarter. As it was mentioned, girls basketball team had a very successful run. A few weeks ago, we were here discussing everything to do with state, and it did go off very well. We ended up, 3 buses went down with just fans, along with 2 with the Palms and the band. And it was a great event. It was really amazing to see how many people went all 3 days for all the games. So kudos to the Rockridge and the Rockridge and communities surrounding, because it was really an awesome event. Along with that, we had another group that did attend state, and that was the DECA group. So I just want to give them some kudos too for going to their state event. Over the next few weeks, we're entering test season. So we are starting actually tomorrow morning, weather permitting, with the ACT test. So that will happen bright and early, 8:15. They will get started, followed by MCA tests in April and May. And then the AP exams are also coming in early April, I believe they are. They're spread out. So, but all those are coming very quickly. Spring sports are underway. Practices have been underway for a couple of weeks. We will be, well, hopefully having games soon. Little delay maybe with the weather, but those are all happening real quick. We've got spring plays coming, spring concerts coming, so it does get to be very busy at springtime with all the performing arts and those activities. One thing, we currently on their way home. I texted Matt, they were in Chicago, supposedly boarding a plane at 5. So all things, if everything goes well, they may be a little late, but they should be home soon. So everything I've heard, they've had a great experience. Kids were phenomenal. So everything went without a hitch. So look forward to hearing more about the choir trip, but they're on their way home as we speak. So that's exciting. Last thing I'll just touch on, registration process. We have registered students. We have numbers on courses that we need. To be honest, we're in a holding pattern now until the board passes a budget. So we will build that as soon as we can. So as soon as budget gets passed and we know what our staffing looks like, we'll be able to start assigning courses and start running schedules. So crossing our fingers, the hope is still to have a schedule complete by the end of the school year. With that, that's all I have, unless you have any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Winter?
No, I just want to make a comment though, because I was down at state with the basketball team and I just was so impressed by the kids and how they acted and their sense of school spirit. We had the pom-poms, the band was amazing, all the fans. We packed that auditorium and that was just amazing to see. And I know you took a cool picture. We just looked like a huge community, and to have that solidarity was just so amazing. I loved it. It was a great experience.
I traveled into enemy territory. Took a picture of the other side of the gym.
I made it all live though, so.
Yeah, I did.
Thank
All right,
you.
thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
Okay, up next is the treasurer's report. Can I get a motion? Oh, no. Superintendent report. I'm sorry. You're up next. No.
All right, members of the school board. I'm gonna do something a little bit different here to update you on some legal actions. And this is also for people in the audience, so no, because everything I'm about to say is public. I have run this through our lawyer. Everything I'm about to say is completely legal, et cetera. So this is all public information. So this is an update to the board and to the community about what is happening in regards to the demolition and the Evelyn school site. So as you know, the district was served with a new lawsuit on Friday, March 22nd. For some reason, people like suing you, and you continue to prevail in your lawsuits. But here's another one. This lawsuit was filed in St. Louis County District Court on behalf of plaintiff Richard Klavacek. And I can say that because it's a public document. The district's insurance company is aware of the claim and has assigned the law firm of Squires, Walsberger, and Mace, PA, to defend the district in this matter. This is the one that Trevor, the attorney you have worked with over the years. That's the law firm. This litigation is nearly identical to the litigation commenced by Catherine Disterhoff, and I can say that because that's a public information, against the district on January 19th, 2024. The Disterhoff litigation involved the Gilbert School building that has since been demolished on the Gilbert campus. The district's defense, that's us, in the matter was successful, and it should be concluding shortly. The only difference with the litigation is that the buildings now at issue are the Ben Franklin Elementary School, and the Evelyn High School is just in Evelyn. As you know, the Evelyn City Council, some history here might be helpful for everyone. As you know, the Evelyn City Council met on December 5th, 2023, and discussed whether there was any interest in retaining the buildings on the Evelyn campus. This has been a multi-year thing that you've been working with them. The City Council unanimously voted that the city has no interest in retaining the school buildings, and they wanted the Rockridge School Board, you, to move forward with the demolition of all the school buildings on the Evelyn campus. Based on this, the district entered into an agreement to sell the land and 2 small outbuildings on the Evelyn campus to the city of Evelyn after demolition of the school buildings is complete. The plaintiff, Richard Klavacek, who to my knowledge, I have never spoken with, is alleging that the district cannot move forward with abatement and demolition of these school buildings on the Evelyn campus because they are protected historic resources under the Minnesota Environmental Rights Act. In commencing the lawsuit, the plaintiff, and I'm not even sure where this individual lives.
I believe it's Coon Rapids.
The plaintiff also requested the court issue an emergency temporary restraining order to prevent the district from impairing, altering, demolishing, or destroying any parts of the school buildings. The plaintiff made this request with providing notice to the district, you, or its attorneys, or me, which is permitted by the court rules. However, this means that the district had no opportunity to respond prior to the court issuing the temporary order. The fact that a temporary restraining order was issued does not mean there is any validity to the plaintiff's claims against the district. The court did not make a decision on the merits. It simply means the plaintiff followed the court rules and submitted documents stating that because of the circumstances, he would suffer irreparable harm if the district was first given an opportunity to respond. Because the district had no opportunity to respond, the court scheduled a hearing for the matter on April 11th so that the district can appear and argue why the order should be removed, which we will do. Based on what is known, we have a strong argument that it should be dissolved. Once the hearing occurs, we will know more about how this matter will proceed and whether it will cause any substantial disruption to the district's contractual obligations for abatement and demolition on the Evelyn campus, as well as the eventual sale to the city. The district's attorneys and I will continue to keep you updated as the matter progresses. And let me give you an example, and this is public, from the actual filed lawsuit says that, this is just 2 sentences, the defendant seeks to demolish the buildings, that's us, and absent judicial action, these historic resources will be lost with no exploration of alternatives to destruction for continued use. Of note, it is currently unknown why the demolition must occur presently and what the plans for the site are. All right, let me once again refresh everybody on what really happened. You have been doing this for years. You had these listed with the realtor for 2 years. Andrea, just down the road here. We talked to a commercial broker to list these properties. They weren't interested. We have shown so many people, every single person who is interested in walking through the buildings, we walked them through the buildings, including the Franklin, including the Evelyn Gilbert High School. We have spent years talking to the city of Evelyn about these properties and what could happen. They hired a consultant, Bob Streeter, whose sole purpose, and you chipped in some money to pay for him, whose sole purpose was to work with the city of Evelyn to find out if it was feasible for them to purchase the site, and if they did, what would they do with it. He has been working on this for a long time. he has been talking to the Evelyn City Council for many times. I have been to multiple Evelyn City Council meetings talking about the Evelyn properties. Nothing is new. We have talked about this for a long time. The city of Evelyn did talk about, should they buy some of the buildings? What should they do with them? They did decide that they don't want any of the buildings because, no surprise, as everyone else who has looked at the buildings, they're too expensive. None of these buildings have a historical designation on them. You have no developer. You have no individual who is offering you money or giving you any type of bid that makes any sense from a financial point of view. You haven't had any of that. So what will happen is that we have stopped removing things from the Evelyn site. And when I mean removing, I'm talking about door frames and doors and anything nailed down or screwed in. We're not moving any of that out until this is legally resolved. I do need to tell you, you do have risk here. You do have financial risk here, because if this causes you to delay abatement, if this causes you to delay demolition, this could cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars. I am not making this up. Because if you have to rebid, it's a different game. More time goes by, inflation works. It could be a completely different decision. Obviously, you approved the bids tonight, which is legally you can do that. They can't do anything with the buildings until this is resolved legally. So the hearing is on the 11th. It's very frustrating that we've had this. You have done everything right. You have had community meetings, you have talked to the city, you have done everything, and here again we are. It's very frustrating. It's going to cost you money because you have to defend this, and there's no other way about it. You have to go, but it's very, very frustrating. But I believe you should know. I believe the community should know, and that's my update. And once we get a little bit more information as far as where this is going legally, I'll give you further updates as we move forward. Until then, we just wait. We do go through the hearing, and then we'll let the judge make their ruling.
Can I ask two questions?
Mm-hmm.
One, is there a way for the school board as well as the community to get dollar figures on how much we've paid in the last few years for these types of lawsuits that have been brought against us? Because
Tens of thousands.
is it possible
Yes.
to get a real figure? Because I think
Yeah.
that is something that the community has a right to know as taxpayers. And the other question is there anything that we can do? Like you said, if we end up having to wait to demo and we end up having to go out for another bid and it costs us more, is there a way to countersuit?
There is a way that if you prevail and they cause you to, now I'm not a lawyer, but if they cause you to incur significant extra costs because of it, yes. Because my understanding is they also have to post a certain bond level, because you just can't do this because it causes everything to come to a screeching halt. So there is a process for that, I believe. But the first step is to go through this and present our case to the judge.
Can you work on getting the numbers?
Yep, I've got it written down already.
Okay, thank you.
I would just
Yep.
like to add something too, because that really offends me when I hear that. I'm part of a housing institute for the Laurentian Chamber, and we actively, as you know, had thought of we're looking at bringing housing, and there's a lot of need in the area. So we're looking at redevelopment, we're looking at new housing, we're looking at restoration, we're looking at everything. So we did look at the Franklin, and that was discussed with developers. So I know the backhand too on my side of it, how much it has been discussed. And it just was not feasible, and there really was no support, obviously, from Evelyn, which is huge. So it just couldn't move forward. anyway, that was my, my little tidbit I'd like to add.
So, any more questions for Noel?
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. You got any more updates?
Nope, I'm done.
Okay, all right. Can I get item 6.5, can I get a motion to approve the treasurer's report?
So moved.
Moved by Director Yuhan.
A second.
Support by Director Espy. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Item 7.05, that's what we added at the table. It is a request from Teresa Levine, who is requesting the One Act Play trophies from 2004 and 2005 if they are still available. And she said, thank you for your consideration. So if they are available, can I get a motion to approve 7.05?
So moved.
Moved by Director Lotiger.
Support.
Support by Director Lotiger.
Wait,
I made the motion.
You made the motion.
support it.
I'll support it.
Yeah, I called it all. And you
It's
just-
confused,
Yeah.
but
You confused yourself, you confused me. Any discussion on that?
Are they still available?
Can I jump in there? I'm so sorry.
Yes, Will, you can
Call
jump
me,
in.
as people often do. So my first question is, can I give them out with this pending litigation?
Yes, but you're probably gonna go into the building yourself with one of the staff members and do the best you can to find those trophies from 2004
Yep, I know where they are.
and 5, and it is not screwed to the floor, it's not nailed to the wall, it is in a trophy case, probably.
That is correct.
And so I would say yes.
Okay. And would you also, if I can, if people are watching at home, nobody has claimed those yet. The One Act Play stuff. I have reached out to people, so if people want those, they should get a hold of us and do all of this before time is up. I'll talk about it at an admin meeting. And the second one is somebody has put a sign up on a trophy case with a bunch of trophies in it that says, the Historical Society or the Evelyn Gilbert alumni will come and get this, don't throw it away. So if anybody out there wrote that sign, there's no name or anything on it, get a hold of me, we've gotta get you that stuff. These buildings might not, whatever. We gotta get you that stuff, there's just no name on it. So we never sold it, we never sold what was in it, we never put them in the auction for trophy, sales or anything, because someone made two big signs. So if anybody knows the Evelyn Gilbert alum that want those, think that might be banned in the middle, I shouldn't say that, that's something in the middle there of a hallway. That would be great.
All right.
Sorry, thank you.
Okay, any more discussion on 7.5? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Item 7.1, consider approval of resolution proposing placement of Benjamin Norman, a continuing contract tenured teacher on unrequested leave of absence to the extent of 1.0 FTE. It is a roll call vote. Can I get a motion on it? Motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Director Yuhan, support by Director Addy. This is a roll call vote.
Discussion. Yep.
Discussion.
So, in the meeting, it was discussed about whether or not we wanted to go with, scenario 1 or scenario 2, and the board would need to decide if we were going to go with scenario 1, keeping the names on, if we were gonna go with scenario 2,
oh,
we would
right,
take them off.
okay, yeah.
And, do we want to have discussion about that?
Yes, I think we should.
Thank you for bringing that up, Director Lotiger, because we did discuss 7.1 and 7.2 of removing them completely from this.
Yeah, and maybe, I don't know how we do that, do we amend it, or how do we do that to remove them? But I think should we talk about which scenario we all liked better? I mean, for me, it was
Right, I think.
number 2, for sure, that I wanted to explore more.
And I feel the same too, yeah. I don't know if it's unanimous or.
My question is to Noel, is it, if we go with two, we would not have to do this tonight?
That is correct. So you
Yeah.
could table this.
Okay, all right, so we got a motion by Director Yuan, support by Director Addy. Director Yuan, would you, I'll rescind my support.
I'll rescind my motion.
I'll make a motion that we table these two items.
Okay, so we got a motion by Director Reardon to table 7.1 and 7.2.
I'll support.
Support by Director Lotiger. We got motion, yeah, support by Director Lotiger. Any discussion? All those in favor of removing 7.1 and 7.2, tabling them, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Okay. Meeting announcements. There is a North Star Board Tour, the 8th of April, at 2024 at 4:30. That's just an hour and a half before our regular meeting. And our regular meeting is going to be April 8th, 2024 at 6 PM right here in the administrative building.
So 4:30 is our tour?
Yes, it is.
Do we know where we go or where we meet
We'll give you the exciting details later on.
Okay.
So I don't think there's any other announcements. Item 9, can I get a motion to adjourn?
I make the motion.
Motion by Director Westby, support by Director Lotiger. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, everybody.